We're really happy with today. Not only today, you take it back to when a few weeks ago we got Zucker. So now the Penguins, in a short period of time, have Zucker, Marleau, Rodrigues, and Sheary, and we took Cahoon and Galchenyuk out of our lineup. So we feel good about our team. We have felt good about it all year. We feel better today, and we feel we have a stronger team. Hopefully we get healthy here in the next week or two, and we have a whole team. We see what we really got. Questions?
Jim, on Friday you mentioned you wanted to maybe try to pursue a forward who could play multiple positions. I believe all three forwards you picked up today can do that. How big of a emphasis was that for you today?
Yeah, it was important. I mean, if we had got a forward that could only play one position, we'd have been okay with that. But certainly the guys we got can move around. They can move up and down the lineup, and they can move to their opposite wing or to center. So having that kind of flexibility for the coach, it makes it easier for him.
Jim, sort of a compound question here, but were you at all intrigued or interested at going after any depth on the blue line? And as far as the other moves that were made in the Metro, how much more competitive did the Metro get today with some of the other moves that were made by various other clubs?
Yeah, well, I'm sure it got more competitive. I haven't had time to look at the other teams, but usually when at the end of the day here that there's other teams have improved. So, but we can only deal with what we can control, and the Penguins have improved. As for a depth defenseman, we did look at that. We feel we have 9 NHL defensemen in the organization now. A couple of our younger guys are really coming along, especially Joseph. I'm not sure he's quite ready to play here, but he's come a long ways. He's going to end up being a good pickup, in that Kessel deal. But with the way the defensemen fell the other day and the ones that were available today, the prices of them didn't make sense because that depth defenseman we got may have not even played a whole lot if we're healthy. So nothing made sense for us on defense.
So the medicals are good then for those two defensemen?
On Dumoulin and Marino, yeah, we're pleased with the progress they're making, and I don't have a timeline for them just yet, but we know they're going to be back sooner than later.
Jim, with Patrick Marleau, he's a player that I think has pretty much accomplished everything in his career other than winning a Stanley Cup. Just when you bring a 40-year-old veteran with that kind of experience into the locker room, what are you looking for in terms of his veteran presence, and how can that, what kind of piece can that add to your locker room?
Well, we have a close-knit team now, and bringing someone in that's going to fit in makes sense for us. So he brings leadership, but he's still a good player. We've watched him a lot. The advantage he's got is kind of like Matt Cullen. He can still really skate, and as you get older, that's important for you. And his desire to get that ultimate prize is going to be big for him. His time's running out, so he should be a good fit for us.
Jim, a week ago there was some talk this would be a quiet deadline. Were you surprised over the last, say, 12 or 24 hours at the number of players or the players available?
Yeah, with the fact that we saw a lot of deals being made around the league prior to the deadline, over the last 2-3 weeks, teams jumped in a little bit earlier this year. And our hockey ops group, we were just talking about this morning. Things were happening pretty fast, a lot more deals than we expected. And certainly by the time we got to the end of the day, it was a pretty active day.
Jim, there was a stretch there where Mike didn't really have a fourth line that he felt comfortable playing with. You now have a lot more depth for those spots. I'm also wondering, when you look at specifically Marleau and Sheary, one of them has played with Sid before. The other one has played with Sid in international play. Knowing that you have Zucker, was that part of the thinking, get somebody that could also be a part of an option for Sidney?
Well, getting guys that can move up and down the lineup always helps, and those Marleau and Sheary can do that. Even Rodrigues. I mean, he was in and out of the lineup in Buffalo. I don't know exactly what happened there, but even there were times that he played with Eichel. So, those guys can definitely move around.
Jim, what role did familiarity play with Sheary and wanting him back? And I don't know if you've talked to him, if he's given you a reaction.
Yeah,
you could share.
yeah, he was pretty pumped when I talked to him, and I think when I gather all my information from all the people in the hockey operations, coaching staff, hockey ops, and everything, and the coaches felt very strong when his name come up that it would be seamless for him coming back in here. He didn't leave here because we didn't like him. He left here because it was a cap situation, which is, the same thing for a lot of players that leave. We got to move guys around to make the cap work. So at this point in time, we had the room to fit him back in and bring him back. And he was a good player for us in those 2 cup runs. And he's still a capable guy.
How are you finding things working between Sid and Zucker? And if he doesn't stay with Sid, is he bound for Gino's line, a third line? How do you see that working so far?
Well, that's really more of a question that the coach should answer. But I think that based on the adjustment that Zucker has to make between how the system's played in Pittsburgh compared to where he came from, I think he's making the adjustment. I still think there's a little more of an adjustment to make, but as long as he uses his speed throughout the whole game, he's going to be able to play there. But of course, if he doesn't, he can go with Gino or he can move around to different lines. But I think until Jake comes back, he's probably the best fit there. But the other advantage and it was something that Rob, in Rob's question, he brought up was about our 4th line. I mean, the guys that played there, I think did a good job for us. Angelo and Lafferty, and they got good experience, and they're in a good place going forward. But they didn't get to play enough. And in order for us to play our game, and it started to show here over the last couple of weeks, we were always in a position that the top 3 lines were probably playing a little bit more than they should, and trying to get their minutes down that we can come hard shift after shift with 4 lines. That's what we should be able to do now that we've made those changes.
Jim, your team's in a 3-game losing streak. First, did that at all prompt any sort of moves today? And did you see anything out of yesterday's game where the players felt they played a lot better that leads you to believe that this team's able to kind of get past this rough stretch right now?
Yeah, the last little stretch didn't change what we did, but we didn't. We scratched and clawed, and I give the players and coaches a lot of credit to catch Washington, get into first place. And then we got there, and we had a couple of bad games. We didn't play very well against Toronto or Buffalo. I don't know if it's because of happy to get to where we got to, or we were already got our minds on the Washington game for Sunday, but we had 2 off games. And then we got to Washington, and we played a good game. It's a game could have gone either way. We're obviously not going to win every game, but if we play like that, we're going to be okay.